Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. There's the microphone. Hello. Welcome to Friday. Where are we? Oh, coming towards the end of July, isn't there? It is warm. Very, 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 very warm in the UK. In England at the moment. A bit too warm for me. Good morning, Rachel. Good morning, Jane. Thank you, thank you. As usual, if you are there, do say hello in the comments so that I can be at my politest and say hello back to you. Good morning, Nettie. Welcome everyone to Friday. Let's get it up on my phone to make sure so I can see everybody's names. Good morning, Lani. Good morning, Sue. Good morning, Gillian. Good morning, Leslie. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Karen. Wow, lots and lots of lovely people. Lots of lovely people. Good morning to you. And welcome to Friday. Nearly the weekend. Yay! I hope you're having a fab week. Good morning, Martina. Need to disappear for half an hour for work. Oh, that's boo. Oh, well, got to be done. Got to be done. Got to earn that money to keep paying the bills. I hear you. Absolutely hear you. Good morning, husband, downstairs. Seen you already today. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Today's subject is a request from someone asking me to talk about Rites of Passage, which I don't think I've talked about before, so it should be an interesting one. Good morning, Xenia. Currently on the train, on holiday. Hurrah! We like holiday. Holiday's good. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Jay. Christine, loving the hairdo. Have to plait mine when it's so hot. Otherwise, I look like a cave woman. Yeah, it's too hot for hair at the moment. It's all up out of the way because it's just too hot. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Helen. Good morning, Jackie. I apologise for looking down. Some of you guys that are on the Facebook group, your names don't always come up on my computer, but they do on the phone. So if you see me looking at my feet, it's because I'm looking at my phone for your names. Rachel, daughter's last day at primary school. Oh, bless. Oh, they grow up fast, don't they? They really, really grow up fast. Got a leavers assembly. Oh, bless. Yeah, they do. They count the blessings, make the most of it. They grow up way too quickly. Nettie's hair's up for the duration too. Yeah, way too warm. Good morning, Gary. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Trudy. Sue says, what's a holiday? Yeah, yes. We did have a couple of days in Cambridge last week, but I haven't had a holiday for some time. Yeah, could do with some of that, definitely. Mind you, sitting in the garden at the moment, it's a bit like being on a tropical beach, if you use a bit of imagination. Definitely. Karen, going to London to see my son and partner for 2 days. Can't wait. Fantastic. Worked in London many, many years ago. Fascinating city. Sue longs to see the sea. I am blessed to be about a 5-minute drive from the sea. So yeah, I hear you, Sue. Absolutely. It is my place to go to release and recharge. Very, very magical. Good morning, Lizzie. Christine, holiday is hard work for me with the 3 dogs and Derek. Yes, spaniels too, which are always hard work. Definitely always hard work. Jane, hopefully going to Glastonbury and Cornwall in September. Can't wait. Excellent. Myself and the Kitchen Witch girlies are going to Glastonbury next week, just for a day though, but we are very excited. We're also going to Bath September as well. And hubby and I are off to Boscastle next year. So yeah, lots of things planned. Good morning, Jenny. Fingers crossed, obviously, that everything stays open. Hi, Lauren. Lauren, myself, my daughter say morning. Good morning. Holiday in Wales at the moment. Popular place to go at the minute. I've seen lots of people off to Wales at the minute. Jane, we're stopping off at Bath on the way. Bath is my favourite city. beautiful, beautiful place, and home of the goddess Sulis, obviously. Kerry says, living in landlocked Wiltshire, miss the sea so much. Wiltshire has beautiful landscape, though. It does have beautiful landscape. I love Wiltshire. Don't knock the table, everything's going to fall off. Nettie, hubby and I have a weekend in Glasgow in August. Excellent. Xenia says, Boscastle is fab. It is. It's beautiful. And obviously the Witchcraft Museum. Yes, I have been quite a few years ago, but we're going for a bit of an escape next year. Sue, isn't it nice to be able to write things in the diary? Yes. Well, I have been, but they've all been online things. It's nice to actually write some get out things. I did go out for the day yesterday. I took youngest to Monkey World yesterday. I say youngest, he's 15 and much taller than me. But we had a mummy Sunday out to Monkey World yesterday. He's looking to study archaeology, anthropology, paleontology, something in that field. Fascinated by the evolution from chimpanzees. So we had to go and look at the chimpanzees. So that was fun. Lots of fun. Lizzie, remember in Wales you still need masks. I actually, we went to Monkey World yesterday. Everyone had to wear masks. A lot of places are still asking you to wear them, which I think is sensible. So yeah, let's keep everyone safe. Definitely. Christine, I don't do seaside, but give me a log cabin in the woods and I'm in heaven. Anywhere that's your sanctuary, definitely. Jane says, Boscastle's on our itinerary. It is a beautiful, beautiful, tiny, weeny little cove. It's beautiful, Jane. And the Witchcraft Museum is fascinating. Good morning, Demetra. Hello, 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 across the waves. Sue, lucky I actually come under Bath area and 20 minutes from Glasgow. Yeah, you're ideally situated there, Sue, aren't you? Definitely. Lani, can't go anywhere this year, but planning on our first ever family holiday next year. Doing a staycation in the UK, though. Hubby and I did that earlier this year, and it was one of the best weeks we've ever had. Definitely a staycation works. Good morning, Maria. And good morning. Sure that is. Good morning, Erin. Karen, going to Boscastle September again. If we don't get locked down again, fingers crossed. Absolutely, fingers crossed. Good evening from Australia, Maria. Hi, Maria. Nothing. You haven't missed a thing, Maria, because I've been waffling and haven't actually started talking yet. Because that's what happens. But I've got to be on time today. No running over today, because youngest and I are off on another jolly. We're going to a Roman villa this morning. A bit more of history stuff. So that creaking is, I've got the window open and it's blowing the door. So if you hear odd creaking sounds, I don't live in an old castle. It's the wind blowing the door. So let's make a start. That's going to get mildly annoying, but there you go. So I was asked, I think it was the lovely Jenny actually, that asked me if I would talk about rites of passage. It is a fascinating subject, and I have been... Good morning, Jackie. You look very pretty today, not that you don't normally. Thank you. Thank you. Marie's been to Boscastle and the Witch Museum. It is an awesome place, absolutely. Maria thought it was Eric. No, if you hear barking, that'll be him out in the garden. But it's a little bit hot for Eric at the minute. He's probably splashed out on the armchair somewhere. So rites of passage. I would try and keep on track today. But obviously, if you have any questions or comments or insights on rites of passage, pop them in the comments and we'll share like we always do. I have been, sadly, involved in a couple of passing over rituals in the last couple of months. One last month, we've got one to do this month. Sad, but celebration of people's lives. I have also been lucky enough to have led some Wickenings, one in particular in the middle of Stonehenge, which was lovely. I did naming ceremonies for both of my children. I have led several hand fastings in various wonderful places, one of them in the middle of the woods in Burley with horses wandering through the circle. And I have led croning as well, which is a fascinating one, which we will get onto. Sue, far too hot for us and any animals. Oh, absolutely, yes. Good morning, Tony. So I think within the pagan world in particular, there are several different types of rites of passage, but I think there are many cultures across the world that have different rites of passage at different ages or different stages or for different reasons. You're probably familiar with most of them in the form of birthdays, obviously, birthday celebrations, weddings, funerals. But each culture has its own. And I think there are also some that have perhaps fallen out of fashion or out of trend or just out of our culture, really, which I think we should bring back. But we'll get on to those. Maria, my husband and I had hand fasting on our 10th anniversary of us being in Australia. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So if we start from the beginning with a Wickening, which is a modern name, obviously, sometimes called naming ceremony. Hello over in New Zealand. Hello there. I think there are many emotions involved, from finding out you are pregnant to giving birth and all the other stuff that goes on in between. So I think a tradition of naming your baby, whether it's a christening or a baptism or a wickening or a naming ceremony, whatever it might be, lots of different cultures. Oh, I am going to knock this table over this morning. Lots of different cultures do have them. There are rites of welcoming as well, which I like the idea of, and naming rites. Basically, it's where the parents honor give the child a name and ask for a blessing from deity, from spirit, from the divine, from the tribe elders, from whatever they believe in, really. And then they choose guardians or god or goddess parents to make vows to help bring that child up, help guide them as they are growing up. My husband and I had big parties for both of our naming ceremonies for our children, but the actual naming ceremony bit I did in private with them because my family aren't pagan, so they just like a party. But I think it is quite an important rite or ritual. It sort of gets them on the right grounding, I think, to start them off. It's quite an important one, I think. Christine, been to a naming ceremony. It was beautiful. Also a few hand fastings. Son and daughter in love was one. Also a maidenhood and a crazy croning ceremony. Yes. We like croning ceremonies, definitely. Sue says, I'm trying to talk hubby into hand fasting, but he will not do it as he doesn't want to say any of the words. Yes, I think with any of these ceremonies, if it involves two people, both of you have to be willing to do it, definitely. And you have to, I think there has to be it's got to have meaning behind it as well, definitely. Peter says, so I should put these on the screen. Apologies, I should put these on the screen, shouldn't I? So I am a grandparent of 40 and feel I already have taken on crone energy. Do you think they should be age specific, or should you just go with the flow? We'll get on to cronings, but no, I don't think there is an age. There's no kind of, this is the age for this is the age for that. No, absolutely not. I think you should go with when you feel ready. There are some that say a croning should be when you've been through the menopause. Well, I'm 53 this year and I'm not through the menopause yet. So I also don't feel that I'm anywhere near cronehood. I also think that if we do the phases, maiden, mother, crone, there's too big a gap between the mother and the crone these days. I put the matriarch in there, which is the phase I'm at. But that's a whole other talk and a whole other book. Definitely. Good morning, Beck. Sue, P.S. We have only been married for nearly 30 years. Similar to us, Sue, similar to us. Hubby and I have been together 29 years this year. I think it's one of those things that, for hand fasting in particular, you both have to feel that you want to do it. And for a reason as well. I mean, if you're happy and everything's cool, no reason, is there? But with the wickening and the naming ceremony, I think it's quite nice to involve family and friends, particularly if you are picking guardians or god or goddess parents. But it can also happen at any age. Traditionally, for want of a better word, seems to be that the naming ceremonies are held when the child is anywhere from birth to about a year old, but it can happen anytime after that, even for adults. Perhaps if you want to change your name, perhaps if you want to feel that you're at a point of rebirth or renewal for yourself, actually on the spot here, it would actually be brilliant if you are changing gender. A naming rite or a wickening would be perfect for that kind of thing. You can hold the rituals wherever you want. You can have them in your house, your garden, out in nature. It's entirely up to you. Go with the flow kind of thing. I think the ritual is flexible. It's got to work for you, but usually there's a circle. Usually there's a celebrant. Casting a circle, calling in the elements, the guardians, the quarters, whatever you work with. I think it's nice to call in a deity as well to give a blessing for the child. And then the celebrant will probably talk about life and birth, new life, changes that will happen within the family. The parents may want to make vows to their child. And then the god, goddess, parents, guardians will also step forward and make their vows to the child. But it's quite traditional to have the child blessed by all four of the elements as well. Particularly we do it in hand fastings where we present the bride and groom to each element, and you can do the same with a child when you're doing the wickening. And then the child is given their name in sight of the elements, deity, divine, whatever it is you work with. Wickenings aren't really historical because Wiccan is obviously a fairly modern term, but I do believe our ancestors would probably have held naming ceremonies or blessing of a new baby ceremonies of some sort. And there are cultures across the world that do it as well. I think it's a nice thing to do. Yeah, it's one of those things. One of those things. Let's just get up here because I've missed some. Right, did a naming ceremony for number 1 child, but number 2 missed out for some reason. However, number 2 child is transgender and has new name. Yes, maybe we should have a naming ceremony now. I think that would be absolutely perfect. It is a rebirth, isn't it? Maybe that's the reason why you didn't do it the first time round. Maybe it needs to be done now. I think it's an excellent idea. Pete is asking, post for the link of the book afterwards. If you have a look at my website, rachelpatterson.co.uk, you will see all of my books on there. But Pagan Portals, the Triple Goddess, is out in November, and I will be doing a online book launch for that as well. Marie says, nearly 52, not even started menopause. Mother of 10, blimey. Nana of nearly 7, you got your hands full. Don't feel like a crone yet. No, absolutely not. I think all of these ceremonies have to be, all of these phases have to be at a time that suits you. Absolutely. This is Jenny. One of the youngest members of our group has so much crone energy. I think sometimes it's just how you call to embody. Absolutely. We are all different, and we can all, everyone of any age can work with any of the phases of the goddess. Doesn't matter what age you are, it doesn't matter what gender you are or identify with, you can work with all of the phases of the goddess. And we work with them at different times in her life as well, I think. Jane says, we celebrated 43 years of marriage yesterday. Congratulations. But my hubby would run a mile if it's just a hand fasting. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. And I think both parties have to absolutely be okay with it. Xenia, I like the term matriarch phase. Sometimes it's called queen as well, the queen phase, which is quite rock and roll, you know. I never could identify with the mother role and mother archetype. Not everyone sees herself in aspects associated with mother and caring. It's all in the books, Enya. I think the term mother in the phases of the goddess has got so much stuff attached to it that lose the labels. See past the labels and look at the actual aspects of the goddess in that phase. They can work for everybody and anybody, whether you are male, female, a mother or not. So, yeah, you've got to feel comfortable with it. But yeah, I like matriarch works for me. Tony did her daughter's naming ceremony and a friend's and a hand fasting. Yeah, beautiful ceremonies, beautiful ceremonies. Oh, hubby's put up the link to the Triple Goddess book. Thank you. Oh, Marie's got 2 stepdaughters as well. Your house must be very full on celebrations, Marie. Xenia, I like the idea of ceremonies for trans people with a naming ceremony. I just thought about it on the cuff there, Xenia. But yes, makes absolute perfect to me. What is crone energy? Okay, this is another whole talk altogether, but I will run through it briefly. There are traditionally 3 stages of the crone: maiden, mother, crone. So young girl, mother, elder. I like to slot in one in between mother and elder. So maiden, mother, matriarch, crone. So crone is the elder. It's the wise woman. It's the one that's been there, done it, seen it all, got the t-shirt. There are specific crone goddesses, such as the Kalak, but it is that wise woman, ancient knowledge. But that's a whole other talk altogether. Xenia likes the queen phase. Yeah. Matriarch, queen. You can get the family to call you Your Majesty then. Maria has 6 at home now. Wow. That's a lot. Lani, find working with the crone very opening. She guides and shares her experiences with me, despite the fact that I'm only 44. Yes, each goddess can help in many different ways. Yes, it does make sense. Absolutely. They can all help in their different phases to any age. So Wickening and naming ceremony, brilliant for little babies, brilliant for anyone at any age that wants to renew, to have a rebirth, to start things again. Then there's one that we don't really have in this culture. A lot of cultures do, but one that I think we should, and that's the menarche. It's the point when a girl starts her periods, when she begins her menstruation. It's probably seen quite a lot in modern times as the curse, but I think it is something that we should perhaps change our view on and see it as a celebration. When my daughter started her periods, and she was quite young, 10-ish, I think, I made a whole thing of it. I made it a celebration so that she wasn't worried about it, scared of it, felt uncomfortable with it. We made it as part of a, yay, you've started a new phase of your life. So I think it is quite an important one to embrace. It is a celebration of life, but it has, in modern times, perhaps become seen as a bit of a nuisance. And let's face it, it's not the best thing to deal with every month. But I don't think we want younger children particularly to be frightened of it. So I think it is perhaps something, a menarche ritual is a beautiful thing to do. There are other cultures, obviously, that recognise the event. The Jewish culture still recognises it. The Ghanaian people apparently celebrate the event with a big party. In South Africa, they decorate the young woman with patterns as well. Some of the Native American Indian tribes do rituals and give guidance from the Holy Woman. So there's a lot of cultures that do still deal with it, but I think perhaps in our modern Western culture, we don't seem to. But I think it's a lovely idea. It can involve a gathering of all the women within your community or within your group. Generally, traditionally, men aren't involved. I don't see why they can't be if you're more comfortable with that, but go with the flow. And girls that haven't begun their menstruation don't seem to be involved in a lot of the cultural celebrations either. But I think, got to go with the flow, really. I think the idea for this would be to have an altar set with deity statues, pictures of family members, flowers, get the girl to wear a pretty dress, flower garlands, flowers in their hair, do the whole ritual as you would normally do, casting the circle, calling the quarters. But I think it should be a really upbeat, happy kind of ceremony. The girl can choose what is called a moon mother to attend the ritual with them, to hold her hand, to be with her the whole time, to reassure her. If you wanted to include males, you could have a moon father. He would be chosen to crown the girl with a circlet of flowers, perhaps. Bless everyone with sacred water, perhaps. Chanting, singing to raise the energy in the circle. The idea is that the girl enters as purity before everything's happened. You raise the energy, then they call out their name, and then they turn, leaving the girl child behind and moving forward. You could perhaps put red flowers on her, or a red flash or red sash or something, to mark that kind of change, that turning point. I think it's nice to have a talking stick in this kind of ritual so that all the other women in the circle can give a few words of wisdom, maybe even talk about their own menage experience. Lots of singing, lots of dancing, and perhaps give the child a moon name or a craft name at that point. Might be a nice idea. If the men have been excluded from the actual ritual, you could get them to join afterwards for the celebration, do some storytelling, do some drumming, make it work for you kind of thing. Just going through here. Who's that? Jenny says, we work with the lover too. Yes, there are, in the Triple Goddess book, there are lots of different terms that you could use instead of the Maiden Mother Crone that we are familiar with. Jane says, how do you spell menage? It's M-E-N, I think it's probably French actually, M-E-N-A-R-C-H. Sometimes it has an E on the end as well. I don't know where it comes from, actually. Comes from somewhere, sure where. Christine says, I don't know everything. Honestly, I don't know everything. Christine says, at mine, Mr. T made us a list of 13 things good in our lives and 13 things not so good, showing all that we had lived. Bought the T-shirt and nobody should cross us. Excellent, excellent. Jane says, it's the beginning of fertility. That yes, the menage is about the beginning of fertility, which when you're age 10 could probably be a little bit scary. So Lani says, she's so, yeah, showing off, Lani, because you don't have periods anymore. I'm totally jealous. Yes, good idea. I certainly celebrated when menstruation finished, so maybe we should embrace the concept for younger ones. I think we need to take the fear and it's the curse out of it. I think we need to celebrate it so that younger children, particularly if you are 10 when you started it, will feel more comfortable with it. Yeah, Lizzie says, my daughter would have been horrified if I'd done this, and I definitely would have if my mum did. You have to pick the situation, obviously, Lizzie. You do have to pick it whether your daughter would be welcoming of this or not. But whatever way, if you don't do a whole ritual, you could do a little family party with just like mum and dad and, siblings, and make it a celebration. Make it not a horrible thing. I think the important thing here is to make the girl realize that it is not a horrible, bad thing. But, who are we up to here? I can't see your name on here. Had a lovely menage ceremony release, Lister. Yeah, good old Sassy, because many of us were brought up with very negative experiences. Yes, of our first cycle. When we created the first menage ceremony we would have wished for was very healing. Absolutely. I think it is about changing the idea that it's not a horrible thing. You have to turn it round and make it a positive thing. Definitely. Lani says it sometimes has a stigma behind it. Yes, which can scare some young girls. And I think we have to turn it around, don't we? Lizzie was nearly 16. Much better. Karen started at 11. It was scary. Yes, it was a scary and shameful secret. Yes. And I think we need to turn that round. Yes, there's another point. It is about getting information from older women that know what they're talking about, rather than misinformation from peers, rather than that whole school playground information. Definitely. It needs to change. And of course, let's not leave out the boys. You can have a coming of age. What that age is, entirely up to you. There's a lot of cultures that seem to pick 13 as the coming of age for boys, 13 being quite a special number anyway. It's a number of transition, but it seems to be that a lot of cultures do pick that age, perhaps because it is a good time to talk to the child about sexuality and procreation. I think it is good to be honest and open about things. And of course, the children's bodies start changing at that point as well, and the good old hormones stick in. So again, like the point was made earlier, better to talk to a parent or an adult about these changes and transitions than learning about it in the playground, which might not be the right information. Obviously, the Jewish community do have this, they mark it with the celebration. But there are lots of other cultures that would do. And it doesn't have to be a full-on ritual if that's not your thing. It could be just a nice gift, maybe some grooming products if they're into that. Our youngest has just started shaving, so something like that would be nice maybe. But maybe just making it a celebration that, particularly for males, who don't have the period, obviously, it could be the whole shaving thing, could bring that into it, to mark it as a ceremony, as a coming of age, as a turning point at a particular age group. Yes. Yeah, there's a point for boys. It's when they start showering. Yes, we still have to prize or bribe a 15-year-old to get in the shower. Definitely. Hi, Emma. Emma says, just wondering, what does a woman do if she can't be a physical mother, but emotionally she feels it? How does she celebrate the mother aspect of life? I feel I've skipped that part of my life. Emma, you're still young, my lovely. You are still young. I do cover that in the Triple Goddess book that comes out in November. I will be doing a talk on it as well at the beginning of November. It's about the mother phase as a whole, not necessarily giving birth. It could be birthing ideas, birthing projects. It could be caring for friends, for family, for pets, for plants. It is about think about all the characteristics and personalities traits that a mother has, not anything to do with procreation. So I will cover that in the talk, and it is covered in the book later on. Marie says it's pronounced menarche. Okay, I'm going to stick with menage because I'm dreadful at pronouncing things. But thank you, Marie. I always get words wrong. I still call sigil seagull sometimes, so you know, an element comes out as elephant quite a lot too. Sue says, my hubby was taken ill about 10 years ago and my period stopped. I've not had one since. I think that your body does, doesn't it? It's shock and things like that. It does affect our physical bodies. Jane says, when teenage boys discover the shower rooms, it means they've discovered girls. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely. Yes. So the mother aspect is not all, but it does cover nurturing. Definitely, that is one of the characteristics. So if we move on from coming of age, the hand fasting, probably the most recognized rite of passage within the pagan and Celtic traditions. It is a pagan wedding, basically. It was originally seen as a rite of betrothal. and it lasted a year and a day. If the relationship went well, the couple would then hold a second hand fasting that would bind them together for as long as their love was shared. So that was the idea behind it. It is centuries old. Not actually, I think it's legal in, is it legal in Scotland? I think it might be legal in Scotland. But it is, we are trying to push to get the hand fasting legally recognised again. I think it may have changed, although it was legal in Scotland up until, the early 40s or something, and then it was changed. Anyway, it's not actually legal in England at the moment. I think a lot of people now forego the year and a day type of hand fasting and just have the full-on proper hand fasting that lasts for as long as love lasts. They are beautiful, beautiful ceremonies. The couple are invited to give their own vows as well. They make promises to each other. There is the actual fasting bit, which is tying the hands together, tying the knot. Yep, that's where the wrists are bound together with the cord. That's the actual hand fasting part. Good morning, Alex. I think that's where the phrase tying the knot comes from. A lot of people these days exchange rings at that point as well. Sometimes 13 cords are used, one each a different colour to represent different qualities, love, happiness, prosperity, abundance, fertility, that kind of thing. Quite often members of the family come forward with each cord and tie it around the hands of the couple. There is obviously jumping the broomstick, which is part of the hand fasting ceremony. I do remember doing a hand fasting ceremony, having a meeting beforehand with myself and a couple of the Kitchen Witch ladies. We did a hand fasting for a couple that weren't pagan, but liked the idea of hand fasting. We had a meeting beforehand and the woman said, oh, we've got a broomstick, for everyone to jump over. And I said, okay, that's fine. Do you realise what what it symbolizes? It's, about the hand fast. No, jumping the broomstick is about fertility. The look on the groom-to-be's face fell. It was absolutely priceless. So the jumping the broomstick part is about joining together as man and woman. It is about ensuring that their future is full of happiness and love, but it's also a symbol of fertility. So don't forget that. It is a tradition that's gone back for a very, very long time. And some of them have been absolutely beautiful that I have been involved in. And you can do the whole ritual thing, casting the circle, calling the quarters, have all the family there. The ones that I've done, bear in mind that a lot of the family are not pagan. So if you are leading it, it is useful to explain what you're doing as you go along. But they're beautiful things. They are beautiful things. And it is fun to watch the bride and groom, or the bride and bride, or the groom and groom jumping the broomstick with their hands tied. That's the fun part. Definitely fun. Definitely interesting to do. Beautiful thing. Sue says, I think I could walk over the broomstick. Don't think my knees will let me jump. That's absolutely fine. So no problem. Beck said, I thought it was symbolic of working together. If you don't coordinate the jump, you'll fall. It's got lots of symbolism, Beck, but that actually makes sense, doesn't it? Yes, because you are still tied together. I thought jumping the broomstick kept evil away. Or was that just at your doorway? I think that's probably more at your doorway. You keep a broomstick bristles up in your doorway to keep evil out. Good morning, Kerry. Good morning, Kay. Got carried away with the gardening. This is Christine. Yes, broomsticks are all about fertility and fun. I was told that the end of the broomstick normally had a phallic carved into it. Yes, hence the adder flight. Yeah, it has been quite that sort of symbol throughout the years, hasn't it? Yes, as Alex said, the beauty of the ceremony is open to all faiths to attend and share in the day. Yes, absolutely. They are beautiful ideas, hand fastings. And of course, they can be done at any time. It can be at when you would normally have your wedding. Some people have the legal part and then have the hand fasting as well. But you can do hand fastings on wedding anniversaries or to renew your vows or at any time, really. Beautiful ceremonies. I mean, these are only my ideas as well. There are obviously different variations to go with what works for you. But it moves me on to the croning, and I have done croning ceremonies, and I will have one when my time is ready too, because I absolutely love the idea of a croning ceremony. Cronus is apparently derived from the word crone is derived from the word cronus, meaning time. It is the wisdom gathered through lifelong experiences. Crone with a K also means crown, so becoming crowned a crone. It is about acknowledging that you've hit the wise woman stage of your life. You've gathered all your experience, you've lived it, you've done it, you've got the t-shirt, you have understanding. The wise crone becomes the resource of wisdom for her community and the source of inspiration for the younger ones. I think it's about celebrating our elders because they do get a little bit forgotten in society now. It is a ceremony of transition. As I mentioned before, quite often it's once you've finished the menopause, but I think as the menopause can last years, I think you have to go with it when you feel that you're right. There's no set age for it. There's no set slot for you to fit into. I think you have to go with it when you feel that you're ready. Alex says, yes, is hidden in the brush of the broom to symbolize sacred union. Yeah, everything's symbolic, isn't it? It's all about symbolism. Might suggest to engage son whose wedding needs to be in 2 countries and 2 cultures. Yes, I think the hand fasting is quite a nice idea. If you've had the legal bit done somewhere else or at another time, then hand fasting is a lovely way of recognizing it. And of course, although I'm talking about the croning, this could also be sagehood as well. A similar ceremony, elderhood, sagehood for men as well. So all of these are interchangeable for whatever gender, either, both, neither. Make it work for you. Let's not, just go with the flow. But I think the croning idea is about transitions. And I do love the idea. It's about celebrating that our energies were outwards. They're now turned inwards, perhaps less physical activities and more of our energies turning inwards, more spiritual, more about us, really, I think, as our physical growth slows down. We work perhaps more with the spiritual. And it is something, again, that probably covers cultures. Elder women are respected quite a lot in a lot of cultures, but I think perhaps in the Western world, we don't do it so much. Wise woman, wise man, doesn't matter. I think a personal ceremony works well with a few of your friends. Do the whole sacred space, cast the circle. But I think it is about memories as well. I think guests should share memories or even mementos of their experiences with that person. I think it's about recognizing that life moves in various stages and marking those stages. Crowning would be nice, bit of bling. Flowers, obviously. I actually like the idea that 3 stones are involved: crystals, pebbles, shells, whatever, representations of past, present, and future life. I think it's about recognizing that the past and the present form all of this knowledge, experience, and can be carried forward with you. So I think it has to work for you. Karen says, I think sometimes it's when lots of people go to someone for advice. Yes, crondom. Once people start recognizing your wisdom and your experience, definitely. Jane is happy to be a crone if that means I can knit socks. Jane, you can knit socks in any phase. In fact, I encourage you to knit socks for every phase. Definitely. Christine says, I think it's lovely. We do so many rites to celebrate life. Yes. And I mean, these are ones that are worked within the pagan community more than just Western world generally. But I think we should encourage them, definitely. Thinking about changing lifespans, maybe we need something else before crone, not necessarily based on the menopause. Crone isn't necessarily based on the menopause. I think some people do link it to that, but it doesn't have to be. But you could slot in, you could have a matriarch or a queen ceremony in between mother and crone. Work with it, go with it with whatever works for you. There is no set, right, you finish the menopause, you become a crone. There is no particular time span. It has to feel right for you. Jane says, cronehood is a great time for reminiscing and journaling. My book of shadows is a mix of chronological stuff and random memories. I think that's exactly how a book of shadows should be, Jane. Absolutely. Learning to knit socks may turn me into a mad crone. I don't knit, but I think I'm probably in the mad matriarch. Christine had her croning in her 60th year, which is excellent. If it feels right for you, then I think you have to do it. There is no time scale. Kay says, I was thinking that maybe those lovely stones that have positive words could be each given by attendees and a word that links the guest and the crone. Yes, I think part of the croning or the sagehood should be about the attendees sharing their thoughts and their memories of the person in particular. So definitely, it is just about marking a transition, definitely. Nettie says, I feel I'm too young to be a crone. Absolutely. I think I like the idea of matriarch for now. Yes, I think in modern society, the gap between mother and crone is just too big. It needs that other one in there. Whatever label you give it, and let's remind you that it doesn't, these labels are all just generalizations. You go with what works for you. And then we come to the crossing over ritual, which is passing over. A way of honouring our departed loved ones, of giving blessings and thanks, memories for their lives, really. I think it can also help with aiding their spirit to move on. We've all got to pass through the veil at the end of each lifetime, so it is that celebration of that final passage. Whatever you believe in, obviously, will be different. I like to think it is an eternal cycle, birth, death, rebirth. Work with what works for you. We have just done one for the lovely Storm who passed over. She was very rooted in Wicca. So her passing over ritual, she'd actually written herself, told us full instructions. Bless her. So it was very Wiccan, and we cast the circle and we called the quarters and we just worked with a candle. And we shared memories. We shared memories and thoughts of her. She always had technical problems. So for the first time ever, a ritual had huge technical problems. So I think it was Storm up there messing about. So I think it has to, well, no, it has to suit the person. It has to be along with their beliefs. We will be doing another passing over ritual this month for another dear student, Sakura, who was very rooted in Japanese culture, pagan traditions. He also loved baking cakes. So we're doing a tea and cake ceremony. So we will still cast a circle and call the quarters, but our actual main part of the passing over ritual will be a tea ceremony. So I believe it is about honouring that person, their beliefs, and honouring their life and the things that they particularly liked. So it has to work. It has to work for that person. Kay says, I'm 63 this year and I do not feel a crone yet. I feel the older wisdom there, but don't think I'm fully ready yet. You have to feel ready. It's not as soon as you hit a certain point on the clock, bing, that's it. You definitely have to feel ready. Jane, matriarch could cover the time after bringing up children when they've flown the nest, but you're still young enough to join in with them. That's kind of where I'm at the moment. One child's left home. She's getting married next year. The other child is pretty much self-sufficient, as long as you leave him good instructions. He's our mad professor, but not overly practical, bless him. But yeah, he can be left on his own now to do his own thing. So yeah, the matriarch stage for me is about being ready now to do things that I want to do. Hubby and I call it the next phase of our relationship too, because we can go away without worrying about the children and that kind of thing. So yeah, it is about a different stage in your life, but it has to work for you. Hi, Zoe says socks are the one thing I've never managed to master. I can't knit at all, Zoe, so I can't see the name for who that is, but I told my family when I passed, no funeral, just want a rate. Yes, if it's good enough for David Bowie not to have a funeral, then I don't want one either. No, I hate funerals. I think it's all a waste of money, huge amount of money. I do not want a funeral. I have already left instructions for that. Go out to and have nice dinner or something. Yeah, definitely. But, you know, if you want something specific, once you've passed over, do make a point of letting people know. By the time people pass over, they've made their mark, and their passing ceremony can be tailored to fit perfectly. It has to be, I think. It absolutely has to be. What would you suggest for passing over ceremony if you're a solitary witch? That one's a tricky one. If you don't have a coven or people that can do it for you, then it is quite tricky. If you've got people that you know that aren't pagan but would happily read something out, maybe you could leave instructions with them. Difficult one. If you haven't got anybody to do a passing over ritual for you, you could just write it down. You could write yourself a ritual and just leave it in your book of shadows so that it was there. Difficult one. Not easy. Not easy. Oh, this is getting off into some kind of bizarre world now. Flip-flop socks. I don't even want to know what flip-flop socks are. I really, really don't want to know what flip-flop socks are. Lizzie says, I think funerals are for those left behind. Yeah, I think it's closure for those left behind, Lizzie. I think you're absolutely right. But let's bear in mind that the very, very, very basic, even just having a cremation and the ashes put in a cardboard box in England costs £1,500. That's the bare minimum that you can get away with. That's no funeral, that's no ceremony, that's just in the oven and in a box, 1,500 quid. You add the funeral onto it and you're looking at £3,000–4,000–5,000. To me, that is ridiculous amounts of money to spend when I'm not even here. So I have said, do the very, very, very bare minimum. Sprinkle my ashes somewhere nice. The ocean would be lovely, and go and have a nice dinner. I don't want those left behind paying thousands of pounds for something that, you know. Anyway, going off on it. Going off for it. Yes, awake but no funeral. Yeah, just going to have a nice meal. Kay says flip-flop socks are a bit like fingerless mittens. I don't even want to go there. I'm not even going there. Definitely not. I don't know the name of this one. Sorry, it's not coming up. I've left a little letter to be read out and also felted my own coffin so that an appropriate seed can be planted in it and then ashes added and planted in some woodland. I think that's a beautiful idea. Beautiful idea. Yeah, just... if you haven't got pagan coven or friends that will do a passing over ritual, then yeah, just a nice little letter to be read is a lovely idea. Kay says, yeah, not everyone can afford a full funeral and yet family get the bill. Yep, it is. Oh, wow, that's a lot of money. €8,000 for a basic social funeral. Yeah, well, the $1,500 isn't the funeral. That's just literally them putting you in the bonfire. Yeah, it's mad. Mad. Sue, I would not have a wake as it would encourage people that I don't like to eat and drink my money away. Rather give it, yeah, I'm with you there, Sue. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, there's an idea. There you go. Beautiful idea. I'm going to steal it. I love trees. Yeah, absolutely. There are some places now that do woodland funerals, eco funerals, where you can be buried in a cardboard box basically and in the woods, which is a beautiful idea. Erin has PCOS, bless you, and I always had conflicting thoughts about syncing up phases of my life with biological markers or fertility. No, throw that out the window. I'm looking forward to your book. Want to learn how to connect to the energy of the phases without necessarily needing the more traditional associations. Yep, throw them out the window. Gone, done, dusted. Yes, I think we need a more modern way of working with the triple goddess, which is why I wrote the book. Kay has 2 eco burial grounds. Yeah, it's a good idea. This is it, Xenia, isn't it? The family putting themselves into debt for the funeral. Yeah, let's not do that. So there are lots of different rites of passage. I think if you look on the Kitchen Witch blog, the lovely Sakura also wrote some other ones that we hadn't perhaps thought of. A ritual for starting school, a ritual for starting a new job, the different points in our lives that are transitions, the different points in their lives that perhaps we should celebrate or mark or work some kind of blessing or ritual to move us on to the next stage, whatever that might be. Just something that marks that rite of passage, definitely. They're starting to do biofunerals in New Zealand. Yeah, I think the idea of putting your ashes in the ground so that something can be, yeah, definitely. Beck says we have a natural burial place near me in Grayshot. Oh, you're not too far from me, Beck. Yeah, buried under a tree. Love it. Absolutely brilliant idea. Xenia, I have no family, no coven, so maybe the government has to pay for getting me digged. Yeah, you never know. Yes, Christine says a lot of the funeral parlours do a pay now scheme so that your family doesn't have to worry. Yes, we have that here too. Yes, that's a good one. A ritual when your child leaves home. It's another rite of passage, isn't it? It's another transition. Yes, Sue, I like that, for sprinkled off of the water. Yes, I'd like to be in the ocean, I think. Yes, Lani, a ritual for a new job. Have a look at the Kitchen Witch blog because Paul wrote a brilliant ritual for starting a new job. Yeah, good luck with that too. Okay, when I was 16, had my first period, never knew it was coming. Oh, white skirt. Oh, no. Yeah, I think it is. We need to do that for young girls so that they aren't frightened, they aren't scared, and we need to make it something positive. Yeah, the idea of planting things in a tree, and yes, paying for funerals beforehand is a good idea too. But okay, I don't want one. Just put me in the box in the oven. Yes, Lizzie, I'm going to have to go now. I'll be late for my visit to the Roman palace. Yes, I will put this on the blog. Obviously, Sam's put a resource there. Thank you for some about natural funerals. Thank you. That's very, very useful. I will put this on the blog with information about the different rites of passage. But think outside of the box. Yes, 21st Sarah thing in the UK. We have these funny age things, actually. 16 is a big birthday, 18 is a big birthday, and 21 is a big birthday. And then you kind of move on to 30, 40, 50, 60, that kind of thing. Hey, any excuse for a celebration. Think outside the box. Think about marking the different stages of your life with rituals. But all the information will go up on the blog. Thank you for joining me today. I'm off to look at Roman mosaics in the boiling hot sunshine. Thank you for joining me. As always, if you want me to talk about anything in particular, do send me a message and I will do my very best to cover the information. Thank you for all of your input today, for all of your ideas and for pronunciations. It is, I think, one of those things that we need to bring back. We need to mark these occasions, but it also has to work for you. So thank you everyone. And there is a book launch for the Triple Goddess in November. I will be doing an hour-long talk on it at the book launch and giving away a free book. There'll also be some other things before then as well, because I think it is a fascinating subject that needs to be brought into modern times for us to work with. So thank you, everyone. Have a fabulous weekend. Blessings to you all, and I will catch you again soon.